Hello everyone, today we are continuing on with our NHL season preview series as we put out our third video of the day to get as close as possible to getting this thing done before the season starts. And today we have the Seattle Kraken for the final video. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new to hockey. If you're interested in hockey, I'm hoping to do this as a career and would really appreciate it if you wanted to stick around for the long haul. Now, let's get cracking. So, Seattle's inaugural season did not go very well. It went about as poorly as you could hope for. And the team, for all its excitement and all its expectations, went 27-49-6 for a 60-point season, along with a last-place finish in the Pacific. So, what did Seattle GM Ron Francis do? He got really busy in the offseason to improve this team, and boy, was this a good one for them. Playoff good? We'll talk about that as I give my storylines that follow this season as well as my expectations for them. So let's go and talk about the first storyline and talk about how much Oliver Bjorkstrand could impact the team for this season. The former Columbus Blue Jackets player was traded because of cap reasons in a deal that Seattle clearly won. This was a fleece as they get one of the more underrated two-wing players in the league, and the trade just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. But Bjorkstrand was able to offensively produce on a lackluster Columbus team, and now he comes over to Seattle hoping to do the exact same thing. Not so much the case that you're hoping Seattle does poorly offensively, but if they do flounder a little bit, he can still be a guy that produces for them. And he is coming off of a 28-goal season, which is a career high for him, and more than any other Seattle player had last year. So theoretically, he is their best goal scorer as well as point producer, as he finished with more points than any other Kraken player did last season as well. That doesn't mean everything, but he's consistently been a goal-scoring threat and an aggressive forechecker in his time with the Jackets, which could bode well in his new environment. He may not have another 60 plus point year. I think he finished with, I want to say 58, can't remember, but he might not have that kind of year. But in general, you're looking at him and hoping that he can put up quality numbers on both sides of the ice and play that top line role for you, as well as being on the top power play unit. He will have his hands full trying to help his team at both ends, but he surely will have some motivation after being traded away for a bag of stale Doritos, like he wasn't one of the best Blue Jackets players. It really does bug me as a Jackets fan, but what can you do? Anyway, he will also have a chance to really be probably one of the best, if not the best, debatable, I guess, player in the franchise's young history, and maybe build a legacy with his new team. He's got 4 years left on his deal, and with the bargain that he's on, Emerald City fans will probably likely grow very fond of him, as I think he could be a very key player for them. Now, the second storyline here for them is what will Matty Beniers do in year 2? The second overall pick in the 2021 draft was fairly big news for the franchise, as in his NHL debut he had 9 points in 10 games. He only had one game where he failed to put up a point and left us eager for more this season. Can he do what he did last year? Probably, except for the points per game, because you'd be looking at him being on pace for about 74 points. That is a big ask for somebody that is fairly young. Now, getting to watch his first assist, you can see there is so much potential here. His vision, his passing, you're just very excited for him, and you know that he could be a very big part of this team for the future. And he could also help out in the power play, which was a big focal point for the team, as they finished 29th in the league for goals for per 60, a man up. They played poorly. They just weren't able to score goals when they were on the power play. And for Beniers, he had 2 of his 3 goals on the man advantage last season, while playing less than 30 minutes in that time, which is funny because only 4 other Seattle players had more power play goals than him all year, and he played considerably less minutes, to where if he had averaged all that, I'm pretty sure he would have had the lead. The team lead was 8, which is something that, if you think about it, just blows your mind, because Chris Kreider for the New York Rangers had 26 this season, so the top player for one team had 8. Chris Kreider had 26. Now, of course, he led the league, but still, you're looking at over 3 times the amount, and it just blows my mind. But yeah, getting to Beniers, he is a guy that is young, and getting time on the man advantage is a great thing for younger players. You get more confidence, you get more experience out there on the ice while having an extra attacker. I guess that wouldn't be, because that'd be 6-on-5, but you get my gist. He has more space to work with as well, theoretically, which is awesome. And if I had to make a pick, I would say he'd be in my legitimate talk as the Calder winner this year because he looked so good last year. And I think the ruling is you cannot play more than 25 games, I want to say, for a rookie in order to qualify as a rookie. And he played 10, so he's good there. And I would say that he is looking to be in a great spot. Now, could he end up like Cole Caulfield? Theoretically, because you remember Cole was a interesting player last season coming into the year. He was my pick to win the Calder. Ended up having a really bad start. Went over to the AHL, came back, tore it up with Martin St. Louis. And that was kind of the story there. Had he played like that a full year, you're wondering what happens. But let's hope Beniers doesn't have that same issue as, like I said, very aggressive forechecker. I think if he is paired on that top line with Bjorkstrand, that could be very, very fun. That's what they're projecting. I don't know if that'll actually hold, but we'll see. As for the final storyline, I want to talk about if Shane Wright can play for Seattle this season. Wright was the projected first-round pick in this year's draft before many people were just dumbfounded, in disbelief that he somehow slid to fourth. And I was like mouth to the ground, jaw to the floor, because I just could not believe this player, this talented player, just fell into Seattle's lap, and they didn't even have to do anything. They just got to pick him. That was insane. But it happened, and they are wondering if there's going to be any issues. What do I mean by that? All right. Had a few comments that raised some eyebrows. They weren't even that crazy, but he said, I feel like I'm worthy of the number one pick. I would be, in my opinion, the number one pick, and I would think any team making the number one spot should have an easy decision here. For whatever reason, that just blew people's mind. And in my opinion, I look at this as there's a thing between being confident and uncoachable. Was that uncoachable moment right there? No, not in my eyes. If he's lazy, that would be an issue. But you see the talent out there, and you see a comment made like that I didn't think was that crazy, but holy cow, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything social media-wise was pretty much focused on bashing this young man and saying, who says that? Nobody that's worthy of being a number one pick should be that arrogant. If you're going to be that good, be that good. I mean, did you see Deion Sanders back in the day? Like, come on now. I mean, I know I'm not saying that he's the number one cornerback of all time. Some people will. But yeah, he was a really good player that really flaunted his stuff, and that was extreme. This was not that. So for him, I think that you will have to back up the play or the talk with the play, as that's just how it's always going to be. But as of right now, I am curious to see if he's going to make the opening lineup for this roster. I see a lot of things happening here. The first one scenario is that he makes the opening lineup and plays for the whole season with him. That would be really cool. The second is maybe towards the middle of the year, the team feels confident about where he's at developmentally, so they bring him up. The third is that they bring him in towards the back end of the season if they're trying to lock up a playoff spot or in the hunt for one. And the fourth is that he gets garbage time as the team fails to get in the running for the playoffs this season by the end of the year. I would have to say that I do think he'll get games for sure. And Ron Francis made a comment today that really implies that Shane is going to be with the team all year. That is so cool. Why, as a Vancouver fan, am not dying to see the Kraken be really, really good, as they are super close, and while I would see the rivalry being awesome, I don't want to see them be better than us. I do want to see Wright play, and that's the reality of it. He's definitely worthy of the number one pick in my opinion. The fact that he fell to 4 was crazy. But yeah, him being there possibly for a full 82 games is cool. And again, a young player that maybe, just maybe, he wins a Calder. The fact that Seattle could have 2 guys on their team possibly win the Calder is cool. Well, one of the 2 would have to win it, but the ability to have that would be awesome. And you're seeing the youth and the possible talent in this lineup coming in through the draft and wondering if this really is right in front of your eyes the key in the future for this team. Very excited here, but having said all this, what are my expectations for this team this season? They clearly got a lot better. They got Burakovsky from the Avs, of course, Bjorkstrand. They got, Wright. They're having Beniers probably play a full season, I'd imagine. They did lose Chris Driedger, but Driedger had a bad stretch last year, so they'll have Grubauer and Martin Jones as their 2 tendies. So that'll be interesting because Martin had good times and bad times with San Jose. All in all, I would have to say they're going to be better. No way they finish with 60 points this season, but I will say I'm not saying that they're a lock for the playoffs. I think they could be good, and I would say that they'll flirt with 80 to 90-ish points on the year, maybe more. I couldn't imagine less, but for now I'm going to say that they're going to be in the hunt and either make it as a 3 spot in the division, something like that, or the second wild card, but I don't see them finishing any higher than 3rd in their division or the second wild card. But they're exciting and they're on the up and up, and I would say that Ron Francis did a very good job as this GM. Probably had the best or one of the best off seasons of any team this year after having a really disappointing inaugural season. Anyway though, what are your expectations for the Seattle Kraken this year, this season? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new. Anyway, everybody, please stay safe, have a great night, and go of hockey, alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.